Sometimes, when I take a moment to be grateful for what I have, I realize that I'm living in the du'a that I have always asked Allah for a few years ago, a few months ago, or even a few weeks ago. The job I sometimes complain about is the very job I was asking Allah for in every prayer a few years ago. I remember when I desperately wanted an opportunity for personal growth, or even just the peace and tranquility that I now take for granted. In those moments, I prayed with all my heart, asking Allah to grant me these things. And now that I have them, I often find myself focusing more on the problems that I encounter daily, forgetting that these are the very things I once prayed so hard for. Let's also think about the relationships in our lives. Maybe we prayed for good companionship, for a loving family, or for a trustworthy friend. And now that we have them, we sometimes complain about minor conflicts or misunderstandings, forgetting that these people are a direct answer to our prayers. This tendency to focus on the negative makes us lose sight of the immense blessing that Allah has bestowed upon us. When we allow these negative thoughts to occupy our minds, our faith diminishes. We focus on the problems instead of the blessings, forgetting that Allah has already granted us the very du'a we desired so deeply. This not only weakens our gratitude, but also prevents us from fully appreciating the generosity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah reminds us in the Qur'an, "And remember, when your Lord proclaimed, 'If you are grateful, I will surely increase you. But if you deny, indeed my punishment is severe.'" This verse emphasizes the importance of gratitude. When we are grateful, Allah blesses us with even more goodness. But when we are ungrateful, we risk losing what we have. In a hadith, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "Amazing is the affair of the believer, for there is good for him in every matter. If something good happens to him, he is grateful, and that is good for him. If something bad happens to him, he is patient, and that is good for him." This hadith teaches us that wherever in joy or difficulty, there is always benefit for the believer. We just need to recognize and appreciate Allah's wisdom in every situation. Imagine the power of shifting this perspective. Instead of dwelling on what's wrong, let's try to recognize the grace in what we have already received. Every time we feel overwhelmed by challenges, let's think back to that moment when we were desperate and turned our supplication, du'a, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah listened to us then, and He listened to us now. It's important to remember that patience and gratitude are the key to keeping our faith strong and our hearts at peace. And if we find ourselves longing for something new, let's first look at what we have already received. This helps us not to take anything for granted and to live each day with awareness and gratitude. Every response from Allah to our supplication is a sign of His love and mercy, and we should cherish it in our hearts with care and thankfulness.